right, ladies and gentlemen and programmers, we're going to do lesson 1, part 3. We're going to wrap this baby up. Let's do it. All right, but before we wrap it up, I want you to make sure you know how to save your work. So up to this point, I don't know what we did in class, but up to this point, you may not have saved your work. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up our Greenfoot project. Hopefully you know how to do that by now. And we're going to save it, save as. But before we do save as, we have to figure out where to put it. And that's very important. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the files and folders. Okay, and you're going to poke around in there until you find the folder with your name on it. Okay, and it may look a little bit different than this because you're on a different version of Windows. But at any rate, I'll help you in class. So find this thing with your name on it. Mine says B. Miller because my name is Bart Miller. Just kidding, Brian Miller. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, and I've got to create a new folder. Okay, so there's a new folder button. You're gonna have to find out where the button is for you guys to create a new folder. But click on make a new folder, and you're gonna call it Intro to Programming. Okay, see if I can. I think I've already made one. Okay, so I have my Intro to Programming folder. Okay, and so you make one called Intro to Programming. All right, and I'll help you make that folder if you don't know how to do that. All right, and so now you're gonna go Scenarios, Save As, and you're gonna save it as Leaves and Wombats copy is fine, and then or you can get rid of the copy if you want. But here's the important part: you have to choose that folder. So I'm going to scroll around. I'm going to find B. Miller. I'm going to scroll around till I find Intro to Programming. There it is. And I'm going to say Select Folder. Okay, so Leaves and Wombats, Intro to Programming, and I'm going to click OK. And so that is how we can save this project. And any changes that you're going to make are going to get saved. Now, here's something that's important to know is that if you save anywhere else other than the folder with your name on it, so I saved it in the B. Miller folder, if I were to save it anywhere else, at the end of the day, your work's going to disappear. So it's important that you make sure that you save it in that correct spot. Okay? All right. Enough about that. All right. So a method is a command or a question that a class knows how to do. All right, so if we take a look at our guy, so we're going to make a new wombat. Okay, so a method, these are the things he knows how to do. So if I ask him to move, he knows how to move. If I ask him a question, hey, can you move? His answer is going to be true. Okay, so those are the methods, the things he knows how to do. Okay, and this is review. But what I do want you to do is grab this handout, because we want to figure out what a method signature is. So grab this handout, put it in your notes. Whoosh. You can't see my hand. I'm doing like, there it is. Whoosh. That's my sliding it into the notebook motion. All right, so you're going to, a method signature is the description of each method. It's shown in the object menu. This is when you right click on your object, you get the object menu. It includes the return type, the method name, and the parameter list. Okay, so what does that mean? It means if I right-click on this guy, so this is the object menu, and so I'm getting all the list of methods. Okay, so this is the method signature, and it tells me that the name of the method is canMove. It tells me that its return type is Boolean, which means it's a question that's going to be answered true and false, and it tells me inside here about the parameters, and in this case, it has no parameters. In this case, the return type is void, which means it's a command, not a question. The name of the method is set direction, and this one indeed has a parameter. It wants the direction, and that direction has to be given in whole numbers. Okay. The return type, the method name, and the parameter list. Yep. So we have the return type void, the method name, set direction, and the parameter list is int direction. Okay. Place a wombat in a good number of leaves into the world, and then invoke a wombat's act method several times, and then write down, this is important, step by step, what does the act method do? Okay, how does it differ from the move method? And by the way, yeah, okay, so what we're going to do is, I'm going to do it the easy way. I'm going to say populate world, so that I automatically do it. So anyway, you can do it the hard way where you go new wombat, and you can go new leave. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this guy and we're going to say act. Okay, well, what does the act method do? Well, we know that it moves, but check this out. I'm going to try it again. Void act, moves, How about this time? So if I go to wombat, there's two choices because there's a leaf behind him. I go to wombat and act. Ooh, he didn't move that time. What did he do? At any rate, so keep doing it until you can figure out how to write step-by-step instructions for what you think the act. Oh, what happened there? Oh my gosh, what just happened? Something different. Okay, so I want you to keep playing around and keep doing act, 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 and then I want you to write step-by-step instructions. What do you think the act method? What does the act method do? Okay, and then this is obvious at this point, I think, but how does the act method differ from the move method? Write those, answer those questions in your notes. All right, now place 2 wombats and a good number of leaves in that, and then click the act button in the execution controls near the bottom of the. Okay, so let's take a look. Oh, I lost my window. There it is. Okay, so now what it's asking us to do is, instead of saying act, it wants us to hit this button, act. Okay, so what's that do? Okay, so answer these questions about hitting the act button here instead of invoking the act method using the object parameter list. All right. What does the act button do? What's the difference between clicking the act button and invoking the act method? What does the run button do? Oh my goodness, now we have another one. What does this button do? And by the way, what happens when we play around with this? All right, so I'm gonna hit pause. Okay, answer those questions. If you need help, let me know. All right. Okay, so the wombat scenario. Here's how you get information on any scenario. So we talked about this on the first video, I think, but this whole thing is called a scenario, okay, or a program, whatever you want to call it. All right, so we can get some information about it. We can go to scenario, and we can go to scenario information, and it says that this was written by Michael Colling. There's a book that goes along with it, and it gives some instructions. So anytime you want to get some information about a scenario, you can do that, okay? And what else? I showed you this, and I'm going to show it to you again. Right-click in the world, and then select populate. I'm going to hit reset. If anywhere in the world, if I right-click, so just like, well, hold on, let me show you this. Just like if I right-click on a wombat, the wombat's methods pop up. In the same way, if I right-click on the world's methods pop up. So Michael Colling wrote some methods for the world, so I can say populate, and then I'm going to hit reset. And the other thing you can do is you can say random leaves, int how many. Okay, so if I click on that, it's like, well, how many? I'm going to put in some leaves. How many do you want? So I put in an integer, and it randomly places 10 leaves. Okay, so those are in the methods that belong to the world. Okay, and then finally, I can change the image of the actor. So if I right-click on the wombat and I can say set image, and there's about to say there's not very many right here, but there's a bunch right here. So I can say, oh, let's make him look like that is the derpiest camel I've ever seen. Holy, is that a camel? Wow, that's terrible. All right, so I can make him look like a camel now, and so anyway, there's my camel. And he'll still do the same thing. He just looks different when he does it. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Change the image of your guy. And, okay, so make sure you save your work, which in Greenfoot it automatically saves. And then show me your projects with the scoring guide. The scoring guides I handed out. So if you can also find them in Canvas or Google Classroom, depending on what I'm doing. But that's how you get the points, is showing me the scoring guide with everything done. But we're not done yet because we need to do asteroids before you turn anything in. So we're mostly done. We're going to go on to asteroids next. That'll be fun. And then we're going to do the Wombat Challenge. We'll talk more about the Wombat Challenge. But the Wombat Challenge, you're basically going to take this scenario and you're going to make it do something more interesting. So you're going to add one interesting little characteristic to it, make it a more interesting game to play. All right, so you can read through this. So next is asteroids, and after that, jump to the Wombat Challenge, and I'll help you with that. All right, ready, break. I'm trying to you can stop watching now. I'm just trying to shut this thing down.